Hello and welcome to the Walking the Wheel transit call for the archetype of the spark. This is the first gene key, the first gate, and it's going to be a big one because we have a lunar eclipse here, and Bella's going to start us off with this call and chat a little bit about the one and also about the lunar eclipse.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, let's start to just remember what this first gene key is about. So the way that we always do in Unlock Your Design is that we are weaving. So we're weaving the harmonic gate, we're weaving the programming partner, we're weaving where in the codon ring, where in the body, and all these things. So here what you see in front of you is the harmonic gate. So when you have the 1 and the 8, you're going to have a definition in your throat and a definition in your G. And that's the theme that is going to be there all the time. And you're going to touch the world with that. So as opposed to where you have open centers, where you're filtering the world and the energy of the world, when you have definition, you're touching the world. The theme here, well, the name of the channel is a channel of inspiration, a design of being a creative role model. And the theme is you're here to be creatively different from everyone else. You have the courage to stand out from the crowd. Be yourself and you will get the recognition you deserve. Your difference is inspirational. So this is something that is very, very highlighted right now, because as we said before we started recording, we have a lunar eclipse today that is highlighting this. We have a lot of different planets that are around this one in the Scorpio side of the chart. When you have this channel, the frequency band goes from disturbance in the shadow, originality in the gift, and magnificence in the city. The other place to remember and look at, as I said, is the programming partner. So here you can see that on one side of the wheel in Scorpio, we have this first gene key. It's made up of only yang lines. And then opposite in the wheel in Taurus, we have the second gene key, which is made up of only yin lines. So it's opposites in the geometry of the I Ching. Everywhere where this hexagram, the first one, has a yang line, you're going to find a yin line in the programming partner. And the same thing with the wheel. They're opposites. They're polarity points, we could say also in astrology. And you can see how entropy and dislocation go hand in hand. Freshness, orientation go hand in hand, beauty and unity. And if you have the first gene key in your incarnation cross or in your activation sequence, you're also going to have the second gene key. That's always those pairs that we have in the activation sequence in the cross. And the same things with your nodes. So if you have in your nodes either design or personality, the first gene key, you're also going to have the second gene key. And I think, yeah, again, just the fact that this is individual circuitry. So it's about inner knowing, not about outside influence. And it's about your empowerment as a unique being, you could say. And when you are living out that pulse, that creativity, that spark, you're also inspiring others to be themselves in the world. So that's the main thing, so that we kind of remember the first gene key. It's also in the codon ring of fire. So we have this beautiful kind of Vesica Pisces or Infinity 8 between the codon ring of fire, which is 1 and 14, and the codon ring of water, which is 2 and 8. So that's also something that's very alive as we're going into a lunar eclipse tomorrow morning. The time UTC, I believe it's 10:59. And if you are here in the States, on the East Coast, I know I think that it's 5:59 in the morning. Yeah, that's probably 5 hours before. So let's just take a snapshot look at those charts and then kind of start a discussion around these. Let's see, I have to close. Okay, here we go. So this is basically what's going to happen tomorrow on the sky. It's very interesting because it's a 3-6 profile. So it's just basically minutes before it becomes a 4-6 profile. And what you see here is this opposition between the second gene key, where we have the moon, and then the sun on the other side. This is astrologically how it looks. And then just to show you the other two charts. So it's a reflector chart. You see that it's not a lot of things that look activated. We can kind of count them. So out of 13 activations, you can see that a lot of things are in the same places. You have so many times the same numbers. So it's very much a reflector chart with 4 centers that have nothing in them. And then the last thing I just want to show you, and then we can shift in between them as well, is the gene key chart for this event. So you should see it's a 3-6 Sphinx chart. The law of expansion has to do with coming back to our innocence. It's a lot about celebration and playfulness. We are working with that deep core wound of separation and of complexity. And there can be this sense of stuckness or limitation. And that's also accentuated by the fact that we have Saturn squaring this nodal axis. So Saturn is responsible for time and limitations and kind of the containers. And so both having Saturn there squaring this eclipse, and as I was saying, the attraction sphere in the 60, we might have that feeling of there's so much energy moving, but still there's something that feels stuck. And a lot of it also has to do with coming back to our purity. You can see that 12 in the throat. Yeah, let me stop sharing, and Ashley, let's start with allowing you to come in. How are you feeling? What's moving for you for this lunar eclipse?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I feel a lot of creative energy and like flow and movement, and it's easier to just get things initiated in a way, like just starting things, creating things, getting into creativity. I think that people that might struggle with their creativity might feel the limitation there. I'm wondering how limitation might be perceived for people that are experiencing these big energies, and like for you guys on the call too, like what has been your experiencing with this eclipse portal and these energies. I think sometimes when we get a lot of into these systems and also astrology, people tend to use the eclipses or retrogrades as like things that they can use as excuses for not doing things. And so I'm kind of wondering too, for those of you that are like, oh, this energy is so big and stuff, sometimes we use it as our limiting belief. Sometimes we use it as a thing that keeps us safe. So I'm just putting that on the table because I know that I've had clients and I've heard people talk like they can't do anything during this time or it's just too much. And I think that there's a lot of potential and transformation here if we don't put ourselves in a victim role. So I'm just wondering, like, maybe where is your stuckness? Where might you feel like you're a victim? And then what is flowing? Because we can't fixate on what's stuck when there is potential for things to flow. Because sometimes we have so many ideas, and the stuckness comes from us gravitating and fixating on one thing and wanting to try to force it or go that direction, and it's not really the thing that wants to be birthed or the thing that's ready. Because the one and the two are together, and it's like this whole transformation pregnancy process, and you can't force something to be birthed or born when it's not ready yet. So that might be where some of the stuckness comes from, is it's just not the right timing. And you may feel the sparks and the surges of so many ideas, so much energy, so much creation that has potential here. But just know that what is meant to be will come through in its timing, in its own course. And just take note of all the things that are kind of like seeding in you. Not that you need to hurry up and get it out, but like what's seeding. And I felt a lot of that seeding energy, and also a lot of energy to really get the things that have been seeded like growing, So lots of potential here, and I'm sure you guys feel it. I don't have the 2 or the 1, and so there's a lot of new energy for me that I get to feel in this transit. And for those of you that may have the 1 or the 2 or the 23 or some of the activations that Bella was mentioning, those will be amplified, whether the shadow is amplified or the gift or whatnot, and how much you've been working with creativity in general. is also going to be illuminated, and maybe what kind of blockages or self-limiting beliefs you have. Yeah.
I could definitely feel, and I was writing about that this morning, of how the moon is hidden, because that's what's happening with how the geometry is between the sun and the earth and the moon. We're going to have that moment where the moon is not there. So we are hiding that, the feminine essence, the second gene key, and the moon, which is also a feminine essence, and the sun is in the one, which is the masculine essence. So there is definitely this accentuated polarity at play that is showing us. And I was thinking about that this morning, about the immature masculine, the immature feminine, and the accentuation of that as well as seen on the world stage. And as long as that immature masculine is running its script, there is going to be more competition, more war, more destruction, right? And the feminine, immature feminine, is going to take that victim position and kind of seeking out desperately for false protection. So really what I could see as well, it's inside of ourselves, whether we have the one and the two or not. For me, it happens to be my life's work and my evolution. So I can't really run away anywhere. It's going to be there. But that work of the dialogue and the battle sometimes between the inner feminine and the inner masculine, whether they are both reactive or repressive, or one is taking one role and the other role, there's always this inner dialogue with those archetypal energies inside of us. And how can we actually dare to kind of go deeper? This is both an energy of Scorpio, which has to do with going deep and working with our shadows, and also Taurus energy that has a more of a flavor of what's worth it for us to be alive, what's worth it for us to as we value ourselves. So valuing ourselves, self-worth, and also going deep, and some of the things that are already ripe to die, that's part of what's working. And for me, in this world, we don't need less of the masculine and more of the feminine. For me, that's a falsity. For me, it's all about the rising of the feminine and masculine together. And as that happens, that is the beauty of unity, that I believe that we're starting to remember. I believe that the split that we're feeling right now between polarities is just a period of time, and that part of the geometry as well right now is to remember that union that always starts in the smallest particle, and that's the hologenetic nature of humanity and of what's going on. So for me to be alive right now and witness this and have it like reverberate inside of me and in this call with you, and like for me, that's very exciting, and something that, like I said before, it's something that more and more I feel with Unlock Your Design as well. We're having spaces where these things can be observed and held in compassionate witnessing, and where there is a possibility to listen to each other as well as we are working through these layers. So I guess with that, and what Ashley was adding, Kilo, is there anything you want to add before we open the floor and just allow all of you? We are many, many people here today, 35 people. It's an adventure, the Gene Key 35, and just allow the expression of each one of us to come in and share.